So are we any closer to deciphering that plot hole? Is it even a plot hole? Because I feel like it really does come down to I look, man, I just that one stumped the fuck out of me because it really ultimately comes down to, does Jaime think that Tyrion at the end of the day is cool with him getting him laid? Because we know that Tyrion feels a certain type of way about it. So we know this as the audience, but
it's so funny that we keep getting back at like now it's been like a good week that we could like it's been now we've been talking about, because we talked about it last week's stream and then I did this week's stream on it, but I feel like it's just going to keep going because this Jaime thing is really fucking a problem. Mark G 171 posted on was asking questions in my stream and posted a comment, and he was convinced that the original quote about where Jaime says I find it odd. I find it passing odd that I am loved by one for a kindness I never did and hated by many for my finest act. He's convinced that the original quote was actually about Robert, and that Robert was very because that makes the whole paragraph subject-wise consistent. It's all about the killing of Aerys, and that Robert liked Jaime because he thought Jaime like killed Aerys for him and made him king, when in fact like he killed Aerys for a completely different reason. So one could make that argument that the original one was originally about Robert, but then I sort of bring up, but the problem is that in a song in A Storm of Swords, Jaime then says Tyrion who loves me for a lie is in the next book anyway. So even if you establish that first one as Robert, you still are stuck with the problem of Tyrion loving Jaime over this fucking ridiculous situation with Tysha. So the other thing that Mark G said was, yeah, the thing is, the whole Tysha story is actually just a big fucking like messy, poorly written plot, like in general. Like he's like, I know it's like crushing for people to hear this horrible story about Tyrion, but like the story doesn't make any sense at all when you think about it, because like Jaime's 7 years older than Tyrion. So when they go through their whole story of, oh, these outlaws set upon this girl, and then Jaime like came out of the woods and like shoot him off and like went to go get help. It's like, no, this isn't like 14 or 15-year-old Jaime. This is a 20-year-old Kingsguard who already has his white cloak. He would have fucking like sliced him down in a second. And then like the story of him like going to his dad and like having his dad force him to make up this lie. Like when you hear that, like, oh, like my dad made me come up with that lie, it sounds like a 14 or 15-year-old Jaime. But no, it's a 20-year-old man who'd already had a break, who already kind of had a falling out with his father 5 years earlier when he joined the Kingsguard, And it's like, why is this Kingsguard in the Westerlands anyway with Tyrion? Like, what are they doing? Why isn't he having his duties? Like the whole story begins to fall apart once you realize that Jaime's supposed to be a 20-year-old Kingsguard. And yeah, like Tyrion is 13, You're like, oh, right. Oh, George didn't really think about that, but yeah, it is kind of true that the Tysha. And then somebody else brought up a really good point, where they said, what's ridiculous about the Tysha story is and the worst aspect of the Tysha story, and this actually is that it seems like such a tragic story because Tysha turns out she wasn't a sex worker. Right? But it was tragic before that. Even if Tysha were a sex worker, she didn't deserve to be raped by 150 people.
Was it 150?
Or whatever, or all the people.
God damn.
Is it? I'm trying to think about how many men.
I don't think it's 150.
No, I'm seriously. Well, let me look up how many people it was.
Did he go in that detail? I don't think he went in that detail. Was it 150? I don't remember seeing it was 150.
I don't know why I thought.
He said his guards in their barracks. So, I mean,
This is my love. The fortnight later, something confessed. Again, right by his guards in the barracks. Each guard. Oh, but she said that her fists were overflowing, or something, right? Isn't that part of it?
I guess, but are we going to measure how much how big these
How
coins
many
are?
coins can fit?
Yeah, and
Can
a young
fit?
girl's like hands. Like, are we gonna measure this?
Maybe.
I was joking. We're not gonna measure this.
but you know. But the point being, like, you know, like, it's kind of cruel because now everybody's like, oh, as if somehow she deserved it when she was a sex worker, but she didn't. She didn't deserve it. Like being gang raped is being gang raped, right? It's horrible.
Yes, well, I do like this. So the top comment on your most recent live stream is this guy whose name I cannot pronounce. Sorry, buddy. But he says, Preston, you're misreading the quote. It goes, I think it's passing odd that I am loved by one for a kindness I never did, and reviled by so many for my finest act. The "and" is key here. Jaime is not saying that it's odd that Tyrion loves him for getting him a hooker. He's saying that it's odd that Tyrion loves him for getting him a hooker, yet he never did. And on the other hand, everyone is in the 7K, in the Seven Kingdoms, is reviled by him killing Ares, yet doing so probably saved 500,000 lives. Odd effectively means funny how the world works, isn't it?
I mean, I don't think I'm misreading anything. I mean, like, and I respond that like Tyrion doesn't love, like, the thing that's weird about it is Tyrion doesn't love Jaime for the sex worker. Like, Tyrion loves Jaime because it's his brother, and Jaime treats him well. So like, he doesn't love him for that act. So like, Jaime can't think it's odd. And even if you're like, if it's Jaime's invention, that would be weird because like Jaime thinks it's odd. Like, why would he invent an odd thing in his head and then apply it to Tyrion? Somebody else said that it's a linguistic thing.
Yes,
that
this
it's
is
more like
this is
that
what I
it's
was
more
going to
that it's more
comment
like
here.
saying, "Oh, he loves me," or "He loves me for a lie," as if he's saying like,
Can I read the
"He loves
comment?
me, but you know, yeah, he loves me, but you know, whatever." Yeah.
Mr. Fuzi 47 says, I think it's a linguistics thing. Saying, quote unquote, he loves me for a lie is basically a fancier way of saying he loves me, but if he knew the truth, he wouldn't. It's Jaime's way of
Right.
thinking about his guilt around the fact that he has to keep the truth from Tyrion at all time. This is something I was also saying because it also comes down to, we, the audience, knows how Tyrion feels about the Tysha situation, but Jaime doesn't know this. So in Jaime's head, maybe he's probably thinking like, yeah, he probably loves me for getting him laid or whatever, you know, because that's ultimately what Tywin made Jaime like do. Is that like, you know, Jaime set the whole thing up to get him laid.
I mean, I think linguistically it might have to be something like he loved me but for a lie. I'm trying to think of like how fancily it would be. It's kind of weird because we don't speak English that way. But I don't think it's that because he uses "for" in the thing about killing Ares. So like, he's reviled for an action, like he's, you know, so it'd be odd to use "for" differently in the same sentence. Like, you have a fanciful "for" and then have a like literal "for" like right next to each other. That'd be very odd. I mean, I understand what I've definitely thought about that, and I was like, is that a weird fanciful way of saying like he loves, you know, he loved me for a lie, or but for a lie? I'm not even trying to like, I might be wrong about that, but I'm just like, but for he loved me. I mean, you know, but he uses the very literal lie for the finest act thing, which, you know, the killing Ares. So like, I don't think it would be that, but
What would really cement it is if we got to know Tyrion's reaction after the whole situation happened and how he interacted with Jaime afterwards. Was he being like, was he trying to be a good sport about it by, coming to Jaime and saying, yeah, Jaime, thanks for getting me laid, man. I appreciate it. Like, all, like, just trying to hold his composure and stuff. I would like to know, like, the aftermath of what happened. Because we know how Tyrion feels about it, like, many years later.
Right. But is it just, like, is it just a poorly put together...
You really want to hold
story.
George's ass to the fire on this. You really do.
Well, like I say, these early books, there's just, there's a little bit more sloppiness in those early stories. He wasn't expecting us to be overanalyzing everything. I mean, like, Robert's Rebellion's timeline being ridiculous. Like the Catspaw dagger story making no sense. The poisoning of Joffrey making no sense. Tysha making no sense. Like, so many things once you examine it. The Tower of Joy making no sense. Like, there's so many things that make no sense in that early story.
The Tower of Joy is another thing. So Rhaegar and Lyanna were there for so fucking long, just banging and chilling, while 3 men just guarded them at all hours.
Who knows? Who knows?
Did they have maids? Were there maids there?
I don't know.
Like,
was there a wet nurse? Like, were there ravens? I don't know. Did they have water? Like, what?
What's he really trying to break it down?
2 people brought down a tower? I don't know. I don't. There's so many things. There's so many things that don't make any sense about the early books, but